what are we say on the features that we have introduced. Yeah. There are, as we go along, we add features and features. Yeah. Not only as a program itself, but also in Alliance Access. Yeah. In the end, the message that we have been saying for the last year, you must be on release 7.6 in order to be participating in CBPR+. Yeah. Release 7.5, although it is capable of processing inflow multi-formats, will not be a supported environment to handle messages in CBPR format when we go in production in November 2022. Yeah. By the way, release 7.5 release support ends in January 2023. You don't want to go live with CBPR Plus and following the hassle that might come after it and then still go to a major release upgrade. Yeah? So make sure that you are on 7.6, and adoption is going very well at this moment in time. I'm very proud of the community with that respect. Yeah? What we will be providing in July is our annual standards update, yeah, which will be called 7.650, which will also have further additional features, yeah, and which will be the one that will be the supported release in November 2022. Yeah, that is as we do always. Yeah, so your plans should be to have 7.650 deployed in production before November 2022. Yeah. We specifically decided to delay, reschedule release 7.7, which was originally also planned for July 2022, and we will deliver that 1 year later in order to give everybody the possibility to focus on CBPR+, both on your side and on our side. Yeah? So we are trying to reduce the number of permutations, the number of the areas of complexity, in order to make sure that everybody can make it. Yeah? And you remember the question that we had on the human readable printing. Well, here it is on the bottom line. Automated printing in human readable format, that is part of 7.650, and I've seen it already working. I should have taken a screenshot from it. Yeah. Now, there are quite some things which are completely transparent to you that we do inside. There's all the things about the signature, that's all taken care of. Yeah. And with the whole transaction manager, there are some things being added to the mix of things to do on top of what we already have in multi-format, and all of these things I will go into the next slides. Yeah? So it's time to show you some screenshots. Yeah? In this screenshot you see a classic message search. Yeah? And what we have done here is we have configured the columns to show you a number of new fields. The translation result, the transaction data result, and the secondary format. Yeah? So what you see here, in fact, on the bottom line is a PAX08, a payment that we have sent to ourselves. And the first line is the reception of that payment. Yeah? And you see here in the identifier part that the reception is seen as a FinMT103. Why is that? Because we have set the primary format on Fin. Yeah? You see also at the right side that the secondary format is MX, which shows you that this is a multi-format message. Yeah? And I told that the primary format is defining the default behavior. Seen there, a Fin103 is one of those default behaviors. Yeah? And you see also that the translation was successful and that it passed through the transaction manager successfully. Yeah? We will see some more details with that respect. Yeah? And if you open up that message, again, our primary format is Swift, and that we see here on the top. Yeah, we see display format Swift. That gives you the hint that it is a multi-format. And what you see is a Swift version, yeah, being the Fin version. Yeah. For those of you who are long enough with Alliance Access, the format field used to be Swift or Telex. Yeah? Telex is already not supported for quite a while anymore. But that is why Fin is called Swift and not Fin. Yeah? But if you look at the screenshot, this smells like a Fin message. The thing that is really different is the additional fields on the bottom, where you see the primary format, the secondary format, and the results of the translation and the results of the transaction manager operation. Yeah? Now, if you toggle that field from Swift to MX, that field on the top right, yeah, if you click on that, you change it in the drop down, then you see the other side of the coin. Yeah, it's what I said. We keep the message together. Yeah? It's one message with two payloads, and by just changing that view, you can see it as it would have been displayed as it would in an ISO message. And you see the same things. Yeah? The top stuff is what you see typically on an ISO message, with responder DNs and requester DNs, and the bottom stuff gives you the information that it has been translated. Yeah? So that is where the key concept of keeping the two together during the whole payload is so important. Yeah? And you see the same not only on the header of the message. Yeah? If we do the same for the text of the message, here, this is displayed as if it was a real MT103. Yeah? And if we change again the display format, this is how it would have been displayed if it would have been received as a pure ISO. And if you're really interested in seeing the multi-format, yeah, then you can switch off here the display expanded text checkbox in bright blue. Yeah? And if you click on that, then you will see raw XML, because it's not expanded format, including the XML command fields. Yeah? So here you see the Fin message, the translated Fin message, which is carried as an XML comment. Yeah? So we're using here a feature of XML to provide comments to provide this piece of data. Yeah? And when you start sending these things to the back office, and you really want both, then you have to really look at your back office, because quite some XML parsers strip off comments by default, but most of them also have the features to not strip them off. Yeah? So if you really want to process both the MX and the Fin in your back office or in another routing application or another workflow application, then that is the kind of things you need to take attention of. Yeah? I see more questions coming in, but I will finish this chapter first. Yeah? We've covered that. Here I mentioned you can force which format you get. Obviously, you can force it only for XML v2, because yeah, in an RGE you cannot put a Fin message. That is not possible. Yeah? So if you send it as an XML in your message partner definition, you can say I force the message format, and then you can choose whatever you force it to. Yeah? And with this, the default is that the primary format is sent. Yeah? If that fits you, great. If you want to force it, then you can use the target format and set it to whatever you want. Yeah? The question was asked about the emission reception profiles. For the live service, we have provided you one, and you can use it as a template for creating an emission reception profile for pilot future and pilot current. Pilot future and pilot current are like the test and trainings in future mode and local mode, like in Fin. Yeah? And also here, just like for Fin, you can define multiple gateways in order to route it to another gateway if a gateway falls out. Those things are possible. Institutions which have very large volumes, who use today multiple LTs, might go for channels, yeah, and will have to reconfigure those emission reception profiles. Yeah? But the default will probably help 80% of the community. Another feature that is going to be helpful is the Fin Plus directory. A while ago, we already provided support for the Reach Plus directory, which is a payable directory versus the classic bank file that you upload, but which has more detail. Yeah? And so it helps, amongst other, to allow you to search for responder DNs. Yeah? For example, if you would look for this big SOGE FRPP, you would find, thanks to that directory, all the distinguished names that are related to it and a description of what this unit is about. Yeah? So we're working with the Swift ref people. At Swift, we have created a new directory, the Fin Plus directory, although I think it's been renamed to the Reach Plus Fin Plus directory, which is a reduction of the Reach Plus directory, and which is available at no additional charge for the Alliance Access and entry users. Yeah? So that is one additional thing that you want to download and inject into your Alliance Access to get a good user experience. Is it really necessary? No. Yeah? It is there to help you find out DNs. Yeah? Also, the distinguished names are for Fin Plus very one-to-one mapped. Yeah? The branch code of Fin Big 11 is the third level of the distinguished name. Yeah? And the big code is the second level. That is has been explained in another session, which I hope you might have attended. Yeah? I selected here a second screenshot of a message search, just to show also that if there is truncation, you find that information in the message search, just like you will find it in the message details as well. Yeah? We have added in 7620 additional permissions to further fine-grain the permission settings. Yeah? That is something you probably want to look into. And I mentioned that specifically when I was talking about ADK, I mentioned that you can change the primary format during the routing. That is what you see here on the right side, bottom side of the screen. You see here a routing rule, and at the end of the routing, we decide that we can keep the current primary format or change it to MX or change it to Swift. Yeah? Changing to proprietary is there for other purposes than for CBPR+, so that is a bit outside of the scope of this presentation. Yeah? But it is this that allows you that great flexibility to swap your primary format when needed. Yeah? Also, while I'm showing the routing rule details, we've also added information of the last usage of a routing rule and how much it has been used. This will help you beyond November 2022 to move to an ISO native routing, because it will show you which are your most important routing rules. We have keywords extracted out of the MX messages, including your usual amount, currency, and value date. Yeah? But if there is need for additional routing keywords, that is available as well. You can have user-defined keywords in Alliance Access. This is a feature that is not available in Alliance Entry. And as of 7650, so our July release, you will even be able to create user-defined keywords on the business application header. Yeah, so that is not yet available at this moment in time. We defined several new routing keywords related to the translation. Yeah? I think the one that I want to really point out here is the business question. What do you want to do when a message fails translation completely? Or is my back office capable of handling message with a truncated reference? Those are the business questions, questions where I cannot give you the answer nor a default behavior. Those are the things you want to look into moving forward. Yeah. Also on the transaction result, we have a routing keyword. Hence, you can route if a message passed through the transaction manager or not. And even the translation details you can route on. Translation details is a string, of course, so that's a bit of string mapping. That is not the most efficient routing criteria, but if that is what you need, it is available for you. I see quite a number of questions coming in, and I'll handle them in a couple of slides. Yeah, because I first want to cover also the real technical part of the stuff that goes to the back office. Yeah, the question was already asked before with regards to XML v2 and revision versions. Yeah, for example, here you see that if you really want to have the information, the transaction data, hence the information received from the transaction manager, if you have a need for that in your back office, then that information is only available as of revision 12 of XML v2. Yeah? So if that is what you need, then you will need to configure your message partner to send revision 12 or higher to your back office. Yeah? And check that your back office can actually handle that. Yeah? That's just an example. And now, where can you find the translation information? Yeah, this allows me to answer another question. The translation information is, of course, in the GUI. We mentioned that. If you have a DOS, PCC, RGE, or MQNT format, which is a FIN-only format, yeah, then you will see that the LTs are always X, both for sender and receiver. That is a clue. The session and the sequence number is always 0. Yeah? And that is very important to know. And why? Because the message never passed on FIN. Yeah? So we cannot put a fake number there, because then you would try to maybe do a retrieval and you wouldn't be able to retrieve. Yeah? So the session and the sequence number of a received translated multi-format is always 0. Yeah? And the truncated fields end on a plus side. Yeah? It's a good moment for me to introduce also the Swift Smart modules. Yeah, it's also good to remind you about the configuration guide, because the configuration guide mentions quite a lot of information on that in chapter 6. Yeah, we have created a specific chapter on that purpose. But the Swift Smart modules help you to go through that, a lot of this information in a step-by-step basis. Yeah? Now, the second part is XML v2. Yeah? XML v2 is a format to go to when moving towards ISO native. Yeah? And there you see that the full translated payload, the part in green, is there. Now the top part in green is there. You see the beginning of the FIN message. Yeah? And you also see the translation information. Yeah? So that is all there. There is, if you send a FIN message over XML v2, then you can find it also the information in the header, in the data PDU of the message, on whether the message was translated, yes or no. Important here as well is that we have provided, as of 7.6.20, sample files. There are a couple of samples in the mxs/data directory, in the mxs/batch examples directory, yeah, which show an ISO message sent and an ISO message received as a multi-format through the different channels. Yeah? So that there are examples there. Yeah? For the rest, there are the specifications as an XSD. There is the developer guide. These things can help you going towards ISO native, because then we're already beyond using multi-format to make sure that your back office can still handle a FIN message. Also, the information of the transaction manager is mentioned in the data. And yes, indeed, I forgot to mention that on the previous slide, is for FIN messages, we have taken the initiative to provide additional data in the S block, which comes after block 5 and which doesn't come from Swift, where you will have the option, by default switched off, to provide a couple of key points on whether the message was translated and whether the message passed through the transaction manager. Yeah? So in the original design, as you saw on this slide here, you just had a fin message, and that gives you the maximum transparency. There are some institutions who asked, can we not have the other stuff as well, which could break transparency? And that is why this will be an optional configuration to handle that. Yeah. Yes, testing, you can test in loopback mode. The testing with the sparring partner is very good because it allows you to do all kinds of special configurations. Setups where you know that you will get a multi-format with a truncated reference or a non-reference field. Those things are possible with the sparring partner. And now I'm going to take another bunch of questions. I'm doing well on time. So I'm going to see there are some very technical questions here. And there are some other questions that I will ask later. So it's not clear how after ADK AML step set back to the primary format to Swift. Do you mean through the routing on the message partner, or is some other possibility? Yes, indeed. So that is going back to the previous chapter. Yeah. Yes, it is through the routing in the message partner. Yeah. So if you want to change the the primary format, it is through the routing. I'm going back a couple of slides here. Here at the bottom of slide 36, that is where you change. And obviously, the message where you handle your routing, of your ADK, it is a routing point as well. So you can define an action on the source depending on typically on the function results. Yeah. Good. When a multi-format message is routed as empty to the mess and the message partner is converted to when multi-format message is routed as empty, okay, we route as empty, yeah, and the message partners is converted to okay, and the message partner is defined to provide the MX. We don't do conversion. Remember, the two stay together. So the two stay together. Go to the routing. You use the fin-based routing rules. It ends up in a message partner. Yeah, and then it's the message on the message partner that you define. Yeah, and so not a Guinea MX message is created, but combination of the two. Yeah, that is something that seems that somebody has been playing around already with the features. And otherwise, you wouldn't be able to give the text so completely. I think what happened here is that the message partner is not defined on forced MX, but is and then we are using the feature. No, a couple of slides back here. Yeah. So if you don't define the target format, it goes out as per primary format. Yeah? So if you send out an XML v2 and you send it out as Swift, or your primary format is Swift, then you will have a fin message that goes out on XML v2. Yeah? That's a feature that already existed for several years. Yeah? So it's really about making sure that your message partner, if you want to really have the MX go out, and in an XML v2 and your primary format is Swift, then you need to use this feature to force it to MX. Yeah? But I'm happy to see that already some people have put the hands on the wheels. It's great to see. Any plans to allow users to use BICs as senders and receivers and have Alliance Access translate the BIC to a DN without the users having to type the DN? Yes and no. Plans, no, but they don't have to type the DN. That is where this feature comes in. Yeah, where the Fin Plus directory comes in. You click there on the picker. In the picker, you type your BIC, It will, big 11 if you want to, it will show you the list with the right DN. You click it, and then you have the right DN in place. Yeah. But we don't have an intention to provide additional features there. Now, interesting enough, what this slide does not say, but what you should be aware about, is that these fields, and I didn't talk about the second balloon here, these drop-down fields provide recently used DNs. And if you start typing a big here, the drop-down will provide the DNs that you used recently for that big. Yeah? So let's say, to stay in line with this example here, that you always send your messages to SOJFRPP XXX, yeah, and you start typing SOJFR in this list, then your drop-down list would only provide the DN of XXX, because that's the only one you have been using recently, and that is kept as on a per operator basis. Yeah. So really, the user experience of this is pretty cool. What default reception profiles will get created? We covered that. And if a message partner is set to automatic format, which format is sent to the back office? Yeah. So we come back to this slide. Yeah. If the message partner, no, even this slide. Yeah. If your message partner is set in the format RJE, DOS-PCC, MQMT, they only handle FIN, so the format that will be sent to the Mac offices is FIN, and FIN only. Yeah. If your message partner is XML-v2, yeah, then by default, it has not a forced message format, and it takes the default primary format, which is FIN, then it will send a FIN. If you change your primary format, or if you change here the target format, then you will have the XML-v2. And once that is configured in your message partner, it stays forever. So if this message partner set to MX forced format is in automated mode, it will always send you the MX with the embedded NT to the back office. Yeah? Good. Some more. One more that I'm going to take. There are some more that you don't see yet, but they fit with the other sections. Is it possible to define a default routing DN in the message entry GUI according to the operator? Also there, there are some possibilities. Yeah? There is the same principle of the drop down with the ones you used recently. And if you use only one, then it's only one, and that's there. But I'm even sure that on the level of the deployment package, you can change a number of things as well. But that would not be on an operator level. Yeah. Good. Thank you for for providing so much questions. That really helps me to give you the maximum value of this presentation.